Greetings! I hope that you have been enjoying some of the nice sunny weather where you are. It's sure been getting nicer out here, and we have been loving the gorgeous bright and sunny skies. As you know, we have been working through a grammar series on the different tenses. Our goal with these videos is to provide short lessons that teach a specific grammar point in an easy way. Of course, if you ever want more than one lesson at a time, you are welcome to watch more than one video to put them together. If you remember from several weeks ago now, we produced a video on the building blocks of perfect tenses. That video explained what past participles are and why we called this set of tenses the perfect tenses. Today, we are going to use this short video to teach you the past perfect tense. If you haven't watched the previous video explaining some of the basics of the tense, such as past participles, please feel free to go and watch it now so that you understand the terminology used in this video. The past perfect, or pluperfect, is the tense which allows us to speak about something that happened and was completed at least once before something else in the past. This can either be a single event, an action that happened multiple times, or something that happened for a duration of time up until another point in the past. We can use it to express the idea that something happened before a second action in the past. This means that by using this tense, we are aware that at least two things happened in the past, and we know which one occurred first without directly saying which one it was. We can also use it to express that something happened in the past before a specific time. Essentially, this gives us an easy way to compare separate times and actions in the past. Please note that this means that past perfect should only be used when we are trying to express a sequence of events. This means that we usually only hear it when there are at least two parts to the sentence which each include a verb. One of the parts would typically be in the past perfect form, and the other part would use the simple past. For example, the floors had been clean, past perfect, before the dogs walked, simple past, on them with muddy paws. One exception to this would be if there is an assumption made on the part of the speaker that the listener would understand an implied second part of the sentence. For example, if the context was that there was a dog walking around with muddy paws when someone came in the door, the person living in the home might throw their hands up in the air, roll their eyes, and make the comment, "The floors had been clean." This tense would still be appropriate in that case, since there are clearly two events that happened in the past, the floors being clean and then them no longer being clean. Another way that the past perfect can be used is when giving information that was reported by another person. For example, he told me that she had broken up with her boyfriend. The other person can even be yourself. For example, I thought I had locked the door, but maybe I was wrong. It is also possible to use this tense for conditional sentences, which usually use the word if. For example, if they had studied, they would have done better on their exam. Or, if we had known they were sick, we would have brought them some soup. One of the nice parts of the past perfect tense is that it is quite easy to form. Regardless of the subject being used, we use the past tense of the verb to have, which is had, and we add the past participle. In this particular case, it doesn't matter whether the subject is singular or plural. It also doesn't matter which part of the sentence comes first, since the listener automatically understands that the portion of the sentence using past perfect happened first. Nice! Some examples of what you might see for past perfect sentences would be, before we went to the museum, we had learned about dinosaurs in class. Or, she had known about him cheating long before they broke up. Keep in mind, however, that English frequently uses contractions to express ideas in spoken English. This means that you may hear the subject and the verb had shortened to I'd, you'd, he'd, she'd, it'd, we'd, and they'd. In these cases, it is still the word had, however, the H and A have been dropped in the contraction. For example, "They'd left for the movies before I got there," or "It had been 7 months since we saw them." You will notice that it is common to use some adverbs with this tense, like already, just, never, and previously. In this case, you will often see them between the auxiliary verb had and the past participle. For example, "You had already eaten all of the cookies before I told you they were no good." Or, "I'd previously watched many hockey games, but none were as good as this one." The word never indicates a strongly negative sentence and may replace the word not. For example, "He had never kissed a girl before they got together." The word just indicates that there was not much time between the first and the second actions. For example, "The train had just left when I arrived." You may also see the word yet used in past perfect sentences. However, then it typically comes at the end of the sentence. For example, "I hadn't finished yet when the guests started arriving." As always, we can use this tense in other forms as well. To make a negative past perfect sentence, as above, simply add the word not after the auxiliary verb had and before the main verb. For example, "The party had not started yet when we arrived." However, remember that we like to use contractions in English, so most of the time you would actually hear these sentences spoken with a contraction hadn't. "The party hadn't started yet when we arrived." We can also use this tense in the question form by switching the subject with the word had. For example, "Had they seen this movie before?" You may want to be aware that the appropriate response to these questions is yes, they had, or no, they hadn't. These responses stay the same even when the subject changes, which is quite convenient. I recommend taking the time to write at least 10 sentences using the past perfect tense and try to find an opportunity to use them when speaking English over the next few days. This will help you to really solidify what you learned today so that it is easier for you to use appropriately in the future. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time on ESL Universe.